What's up, everybody? Couch Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Overwatch video. And in this video, we're going to be breaking down the tier list, the new meta tier list. There have been some moves, so we're going to talk about everything and all the top characters. So let's waste no more time and let's break it all down. Kicking it off with none other than the supports. And we're going to be doing this based on this week's pick rate and Grandmaster. Everything in the meta is always top down, so this is where we get our statistics from, just so that you know. First off, we got to talk about Ana, who's at the top of the food chain right now with a 7.85% pick rate. Ana's freaking cracked, incredibly powerful, and it's going to make a lot of sense when you see what tanks are being played. Specifically, characters like Wrecking Ball and Diva. Ana allows that flexibility from being able to heal them at distance. She has the capability to make proactive plays herself, and she can enable a lot of the long distance tanks and other DPS like Tracer. In fact, Ana has always been one of the best heroes to carry, regardless of meta, regardless of rank, and I think she's an amazing pick right now. Definitely let me know down below if you want to see an updated Ana guide. Now, kicking it off with the next support character on the list that sees a 5.18% pick rate. Quite a drop, but still pretty high, and it's Baptiste. Baptiste is an interesting one because honestly, he's not great playing with a lot of these mobile characters. He's okay with Diva, pretty poor with Wrecking Ball, not so great with Tracer. But when the team is playing characters like Rhine, like Sigma, and McCree, of course, Baptiste starts to become a lot better. Immortality Field can be serviceable no matter what because of the power level. You can help your DPS win duels. You can let your team survive through a dive onslaught, but he's going to play far better into the compositions that can really abuse the fact that he spam heals in a very linear way and it's hard to hit from long distance. And of course, his amplification matrix makes a lot more sense when you have a front line that actually is pushing damage outward. Now, rapid fire, I wanted to talk about Brig really quickly, who's at 5%, who's actually still very good, played well in Brawl. She's actually pretty decent in dive as well, can play well with Wrecking Ball, can really punish other divers, can peel really well for Wrecking Balls and Winstons and things like that dive her DPS, and she pairs really well with McCree. So there's a lot to love there. But if we talk about Zen, Mercy, and Lucio, all about 4% pick rate, and this is going to round out our support suite. All of these are viable for different reasons. Zenyatta is very good with target priority. You prioritize the target that your Wrecking Ball or a Tracer is going on. You can really delete those players really fast, and of course Zenyatta can support people like Tracer on his team from very far away. He's going to output a ton extra damage, which is something that, especially when you have characters like Tracer and Wrecking Ball on your team, you don't need a huge amount of heals. You really want more overall damage or overall utility rather than just having like a plethora of heals. So playing something like Baptiste Ana, it's going to have all this potential healing, but you're really not going to have that many people to heal all the time. And then Mercy is great in mobile comp. She's very good at pocketing DPS. She can fly around. She can take that role of a main healer when she needs to. And while she definitely is someone who can be played as an off support where she's primarily damage boosting and things like that, because she balances that line between being able to heal a lot and having extra versatility, she's amazing for a composition where you have like a Winston, for example, where she can damage boost your whatever DPS or whoever you need to, but when she really needs to pump up the heals, she could do that as well. So she's very versatile right now in this meta. And then Lucio has a lot of flexibility in the Brawl compositions. He really wants to get in his tanks into the proactive positions, help peel, help get a lot of these divers off his DPS and supports and things like that. And then he could be a little bit more proactive when his team's playing Wrecking Ball. Dive doesn't need as much actual peel based support, trying to be a little bit more proactive. But let's move on to the tanks in the meta right now, with number one being Wrecking Ball at a 7.13% pick rate. Wrecking Ball is the freaking king right now, dominating. And Wrecking Ball, unfortunately, is just a character that, even though they technically just nerfed him where you can't grapple out of spawn anymore, he's still just very difficult to deal with. He's very hard to punish, and a good Wrecking Ball is going to never die. Like, they're only going to engage when the enemy can't full CC them and focus them at full HP. Now, with the fact that you could activate your shields, your adaptive shields, and they happen instantly instead of a slight delay, you're not going to get caught out very easily anymore, which means that a good Wrecking Ball is almost never going to freaking die, and he's really dictating the meta right now, and he's definitely a character that you're going to have to figure out how to deal with. He's a character that that I think there are a lot of picks that you could pick in the meta that are like counter Wrecking Ball to get some extra value, because if you can make that Wrecking Ball feed over and over again, a composition can sometimes fall apart. But we definitely got to talk about the character that is actually pairing best with Wrecking Ball currently, and it's D.Va at a 6.44% pick rate. Now, D.Va typically doesn't like dive in or go crazy with the Wrecking Ball. A lot of times, she is playing a character that can contest that high ground, peel and enable her DPS, protect her supports, and it's going to be something that is extremely important to do when a Wrecking Ball, an enemy Wrecking Ball comes in and slams anyone on your team. You're going to want to DM your teammate to protect them from the oncoming fire, because a lot of joint fire is going to happen around that time, something that you should be doing consistently on D.Va, and then of course looking for nades and things like that. Now, when we talk about all the other tanks, honestly, they're very similar in pick rate, going from 4 to 3% pick rate. We got Winston, Rein, Sigma, Roadhog, Orisa, Zarya. Zarya is actually at the lowest right now at a 2.65% pick rate. Even if she is legitimately good, unfortunately, the way that the meta has developed, Zarya can have some difficulty with some of the common DPS that are being played, like Baptiste. She can't really burst down a Wrecking Ball all that easily. She doesn't have any CC like something like Roadhog or Sigma, so she's having a little bit of a struggle. But you got to remember that in the vast majority of ranks, in fact, I think every rank, a good Zarya can just hard carry. Doesn't really matter about the meta too much, so don't read into it all that much. Roadhog is one of those counter meta picks that I talked about. Really good versus D.Va, really good versus Wrecking Ball. He's actually a pretty nice pick if you're shutting down those tanks. However, the problem is a good Ana, right? An Ana can really keep your ass in check, and you got to keep your eye on that character, because a good Ana is just going to ruin your day, honestly. Sigma, I think, is secretly one of the most underrated tanks currently, where he has the ability to completely dictate the pace of a game, especially if you get a Sigma and a McCree to play together in some way. You can really like double CC punish a Wrecking Ball, zone away on us, pressure out immortality fields very well with your orbs. There's a lot to love about Sigma right now, and I think he's great. And then Rein, of course, typically paired with Sigma. He can be paired with a lot of different characters on some maps. He can even be paired with a Wrecking Ball. He is really good, but typically the Rein Zarya combo right now is a combo that does get punished pretty hard from Wrecking Ball. That's why you're not seeing it as much, but like I said, doesn't really matter that much unless the enemy Wrecking Ball is playing very well, and Zarya can carry in the vast majority of ranks, so it doesn't even really matter. Orisa can pair well with Roadhog on certain maps and things like that. Now, before we talk about the DPS, go to the GameLeap website for in-depth advanced tips and tricks over every single character in the entire game. If you want to dominate, go check it out right now. But let's talk about the top 5 DPS that you should be playing right now. Starting off with number 1 is Tracer at a 5.78% pick rate. Tracer is just amazing, and it's pretty obvious why that is. She's really good with Wrecking Ball. Slams come down, she can finish them off. Wrecking Ball baits out a ton of CC and a ton of abilities, and Tracer can capitalize on that. D.Va, of course, is going to be a character that pretty much operates decently well with Tracer. Can help the Tracer by contesting some of these hit scan players on the high ground, which can be really annoying for a Tracer and hard for her to contest alone. And then, of course, Immortality Field is something that can be pressured out from an off angle by Tracer, which I think is invaluable. Now, we do gotta talk about the next DPS. Number 2 is McCree at a 4.91% pick rate. McCree is still amazing, still phenomenal, and he's gonna keep being amazing. I think he's actually the best character to play on every rank outside of Grandmaster. Like, obviously, Tracer's number 1 here, but you have to be reaching the upper echelons of skill and game sense to access that. And I think for skill to impact level, McCree is just like the best you could possibly get. He's freaking amazing, consistent, outputs tons of damage. One of the few characters that can make a Wrecking Ball think twice about just not giving a damn about your entire team. And I think that he's an amazing pick right now. Currently, in a lot of compositions, even if you don't have a shield, surprisingly, that's how powerful the character is. Now, Soldier's actually on the up and up with a 3.92% pick rate. Gonna be good in Wrecking Ball compositions. Gonna be good playing with, you know, even a frontline, a Sigma, a Rein. You can play Soldier. You don't want to be playing with your tanks, though. You want to be taking these off angles. You want to utilize your mobility to try to take these angles that can really pressure out supports, forcing out utility from a Baptiste, forcing out a nade from an Ana. That could be amazing. Zoning away a McCree from his optimal angle, the high ground or whatever. Soldier has that ability, that guerrilla warfare style. I've talked about this before, where he can kind of take this this like really powerful off angle from his team, and then like imagine if a wrecking ball dives in his wrecking ball and he finishes it off from an off angle, or he's putting damage into the enemy backline while they're trying to push his tanks so they can't full commit to his tank lineup, and if they try, he can punish them for it. He's like this annoying little gnat from a distance. So there's a lot to like about Soldier. I think he's in a good place right now. And then the last two DPS we actually got to talk about in Grandmaster is Junkrat and like Genji, Hanzo, Ashe, Echo. Those are like all around the exact same pick rate. It's pretty much just like a combination of some DPS, honestly, even if probably the most optimal is most likely like Echo or Hanzo. All these characters are going to be okay. It's really like Tracer and McCree far in the lead, and then all these other characters are like characters that people play depending on the composition. Like, you can make Hanzo work a lot better if you have a shield. You're not going to want to play Hanzo if you have like a Diva Wrecking Ball. It's going to be freaking awful, and an Echo is going to be a lot better there, or Genji's going to be a lot better there. If you're playing a choke point and you have a bunker or double shield, Junkrat might be really good on defense. You know, you got to kind of pick the character that is going to match your composition. But really, like I said, all these other DPS are kind of interchangeable, played based on the situation, while McCree and Tracer are just like actually the top characters to pick, and then Soldier's kind of in the middle pack right there. But definitely let me know what you think about this new meta right now. Definitely let me know what changes you want to see, what mix-ups you want to see. I think the meta is actually not that bad right now, but I want to know your personal opinion about it and why down below. Go to the GameLeap website for more in-depth tips and tricks. Thank you so much for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the video. I love your faces, and I'll see you next time.